name's Patrick Boyle. I'm chair of the Wivliscombe and 10 Parishes Business Group, and we're here today to express our concern and dismay at the NatWest decisions in terms of proposing to close our local branch.
How do you feel about the NatWest Bank shutting?
I'm disappointed. For Wivliscombe to lose a banking facility is really disappointing. A lot of people can't get into Wellington or Taunton, so yes.
Did you use the bank regularly?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's quite hard for you then for it to shut down?
Yes, most definitely.
I think it's very disappointing. I think because in the country areas particularly is that the bank's only open 3 mornings a week and there's no other bank, so people will either have to go to Taunton or to Wellington, so that's all the extra cost of that in order to bank. So I think that the NatWest should change their decision.
I think it's a real shame because obviously it's an important resource to the village or the town, and when I was little, not so long ago I like to think, it was a while back, we had 3 banks in Wivliscombe and now we're not going to have any. And I did think that NatWest had a commitment to keep, if they were the last bank in the town, that they would keep it, but obviously they've gone back on that agreement.
I'm really disappointed. I've just opened a business account there because it was there. My personal account's in a bank in Taunton. It's inconvenient. So my business account, when I came to open it, made sense to have it locally. Yeah, gutted.
Well, I think it's important that people have got a facility like that in a town such as Wivy. Lots of older people, they can't get, they have to get on a bus to go into Taunton. And also just generally for the part of the infrastructure really, and for business community, and to maintain the vibrancy really. Well, I've just come here to visit today, and I had quite a lot of trouble actually finding a cash point so that I could actually buy anything at this wonderful event. So I had to search around, and I found a bank, a cash point, but it was in the co-op. So it would be rather good if there was a cash point as well at the bank. Because, obviously visitors and tourism coming into the area, we need to keep all these villages alive so that all this sort of thing can continue, because this is our ancient heritage. And I'm going to tell a story today about our ancient heritage. And if we don't keep it alive, what will there be left,
Definitely.
So the bank, I don't know how long the bank's been here, but presumably there were other banks here before. If it's the only one left, then I suggest you keep it.
I think it's dreadful. As a business, we rely on the bank, and they've got nothing in place as of yet to sort of substitute for it. So, it's awful.
From our point of view as a business, if you lose your local bank, your customers have nowhere to go and get their money out of. They don't actually come and visit the local area. Certain places I've traded before, people have specifically come to go to the bank. So if you lose the bank, you're losing customers from that point of view. As a personal point of view, if I want to pay a check-in, I don't want to post it or go to a different branch. I want to go and see the people that I know. That's really my point of view on it.
Oh, I think it's awful. It can have an awful impact on the businesses in the town, as well as local people who can't get to Wellington to shop or to bank.
And obviously it'll have quite an impact on the local business community.
Well, I think so, yes. If they're having to go into Wellington or Taunton to bank, they're naturally going to shop there as well, so I think it'll have a knock-on effect.
Well, I think personally that it's going to ruin Wivy. For the simple reason, people go into Wivy, do their banking, do their bit of shopping and go home again, or they go on to Taunton if they want something bigger. But if the bank closes, they're going to go to Taunton or Wellington, do their shopping, do their banking, finished, gone.
Yeah.
So Wivy will, I think, at the end of the day, be gone as a shopping place. It'll probably all be just living accommodation in here.
So that's going to have quite an impact on the local business community.
Oh yeah, well, yes. It'll all be gone, full stop. There won't be any businesses in Wivy then. Not small businesses like ourselves, little independents. The big businesses might still be able to survive it, but not us as independents.
Well, it's quite disappointing actually, because we're a cash orientated business, so the pubs give us a lot of cash, and we need a banking facility desperately. And it's been very convenient to have the NatWest branch just 300-400 metres away from the brewery, so I haven't lost any time doing my banking. But if I have to go into Wellington or Taunton, it's going to be a round trip of about 2.5 hours, and I need to go to the bank at least 3 days a week. So, 2.5 hours times 3 days a week, that's a lot of time just doing a non-value added activity. So I'm really disappointed. And I think the closure needs to be thought of a little bit more carefully. And I think that the management at NatWest really need to get back to the drawing board and think again.
It's always sad when banks close because they are part of the community, and certainly for a lot of elderly people, they do like a local bank. Saves going into the bigger towns and saves an extra trip, really. So yeah, it saves on congestion and everything. It's the tendency of banks nowadays. I went to see TSB on Thursday and they've all gone to machines. There's no one there now.
No tellers at all.
No tellers at all. And it's Friday. What's going on? Is this the future?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just trying to get rid of people, basically, aren't they? So yeah, no, I think realistically they should keep even if it's just a part-time, something, just somehow keep a bank here.
Yeah.
I think it's appalling considering they did the promise a couple of years ago saying they wouldn't close the last bank in town, and they got lots of trade from that. So when is a bank's promise not a promise? I can't have a mortgage and then say, oh, by the way, I'm not going to repay you what I want to. But also it's very underhand how they've done it. They've not consulted at all. If you go online, you cannot find the 44 banks that the RBS are proposing to close. And it seems to be at least 10 in the West Country. Your Glastonbury, your Highbridge, your Langport, your Somerton, your Dawlish, Wiveliscombe, and Willerton is incredibly worried that they're going to be next. And it's just increasing the rural deprivation. They say, oh, you can go to Wellington. Well, Quantock's bus service has just gone bust.
Yeah.
So the chance of us getting to Wellington on public transport is pretty slim. It takes an hour on a bus to get to Taunton. It's just, where's the equality? We're taxpayers. RBS is owned wholly, quite often by the taxpayer. But yet we seem to be paying our taxes and everything's going to Taunton. Yeah. So no, very unhappy. And they haven't even consulted businesses. The business bank manager didn't even tell us. If you've got a business and you get a letter saying we're closing, you would expect some kind of compensation, but no, it was just a case of no, the decision won't be reversed, we're closing. So all we can do is try and fight it, try and get as much publicity as possible, embarrass them, because the reasons they've given for closing the Withy branch are it only has 35 regular customers. Well, if anybody ever tries to go into the Withy branch, you're always stuck in a queue. They say that, it's only 1 or 2 people an hour use it. Again, that's a complete and utter lie. There's loads of people in Withy that still not had the letters stating that their bank's closing. And so I just think it's very underhand, it's very short-sighted considering we're having all these new houses being built. And what about the businesses? There is statistical proof that when the last bank in town closes, it's not long before the shops close as well.
Yeah, clearly for the local community with Liscombe and the surrounding parishes, local banking is really important, and of course, like everybody, I'm concerned that it's the last bank in the town and it's going to be closed. So I'll be joining the community in writing to the MP and the local people who are responsible for closing them, and saying that it's really important, we should keep it open, and it's really important that the community doesn't need it.
Well, the attraction for so many people who live in and around Wiveliscombe and who come to the town is that it's such a self-contained, close-knit community with the pubs and the shops, local businesses, and of course having the bank here as well, and that is integral to the attraction of Wiveliscombe, why it works as a hub in its own right. Of course people here go to Wellington and they go to Taunton, but it isn't just an offshoot of Wellington and Taunton. Wiveliscombe is its own centre, its own community, and that relies on facilities like this bank and other facilities remaining here in the town. Without that, with Liscombe will feel hollowed out. So I think it's actually very important. It's important, obviously, to the people who use NatWest, the individual customers and the businesses that use NatWest. But it's also important, I think, more widely to the town, even to people who don't use the bank, that the town continues to be a community hub, a centre for this part of Somerset.
Hi, my name's Philip Chambers and the company is Milverton Sawmills, trading as 4 Acre Brothers. My grandfather went to see 13 banks in 1947 and the 14th was NatWest, and we have been with NatWest since 1947. Before Wiveliscombe we used to go to Milverton because and then they shut Milverton and then now we go to Wiveliscombe, and now we will have to go to Wellington, which is not ideal for us because the parking is dreadful. And I think it would be terribly sad if NatWest in Wivey closed, not just for myself personally, but for the wider community. And also I think that NatWest are being naive. There's a Polish saying that says, if cabbages are good, plant potatoes. And if everybody's getting out of bricks and mortar, people like ourselves who are, in bank speak, apathetic, i.e., we have a low resistance to change, will be forced to change, and NatWest will just be another sort of in the air on the internet banking thing, having to compete with other people on price, etc., etc. And I think that loyalty is worth a lot, and I would be very surprised if if everybody goes to do the same thing, that it's going to be a success. I.e., abandoning the high street. Internet banking, I do quite a lot of my banking on the internet, but I do like to be able to phone the branch and know the person. Sue, who is one of the people who's in NatWest when I go in on a Friday, or if I go in, rather than my father, I've known her 30 years and she's part of the community, so, a little story, 30 years ago, when NatWest was open all the time and they had a bank manager, the bank manager knew us and knew our situation and that sort of thing. And I can always remember I went in to get the wages on one Friday, and Linda Triggle said to me, she said, "Philip, I hope you don't mind, but I transferred some money from your deposit account into your current account, because otherwise you'd have gone overdrawn." That is why I would stick with bricks and mortar and human beings. Anyway, that's enough rantings of a random sawmiller.
I'm Patrick Boyle. I'm the chairman of the local business group called 10 Parishes Business Group, and I'm just giving you an update on where the latest position is as regards the proposed closure of the NatWest branch in Wiveliscombe.
So what have the business group done about this issue so far?
Because there was so much concern and upset from the businesses in the community, and you'll have seen a lot of those comments in the clips earlier in this film, we've written repeatedly, firstly to the chief executive of RBS NatWest and then to the chairman, asking to have a proper dialogue with decision makers at NatWest about this proposed closure. What's been disappointing is that they never reply to the letters unless they get reminder letters, and so we have to send them all recorded delivery, so that we got proof that they've received them. In terms of asking for a dialogue meeting with decision maker, all they're have been prepared to offer is that we could meet or discuss it with somebody locally who wouldn't be given any decision making powers. Now I think that's a bit of an insult to expect businesses to give their time on a voluntary basis for what in effect is a waste of time.
Okay. So what are the flaws in the proposal of NatWest?
How long have we got? I think first thing is that the statistics about branch use they're showing are clearly inaccurate. The second thing is that they have said that they will negotiate with the post office nationally to come up with alternative arrangements. Those alternative arrangements haven't been put in place. And the third thing is that they don't actually own the premises, they have a multi-year lease on the premises. So by sense either the premises is going to sit there empty while they continue to pay the lease, or else they're going to have to spend a shed load of money to refurbish them by agreement with the owner to then try and sell the lease on. I would doubt in those circumstances they're going to make any savings on it. So a couple of weeks ago, Vince Cable, the business secretary, was recorded on TV saying that he would be writing to all banks, asking them not to close the last branch in any town. Now, this is the last branch in Wiveliscombe. The second thing, of course, is that RBS NatWest are in effect owned by us as taxpayers. They still owe 46 billion, and they also are more than 80% owned by the government. My sense is that at the top they're not performing properly. There's been all sorts of news stories. They're losing 3 times as many customers as they're gaining. They keep getting fines, multi-million-pound fines for computer flaws and so on. And I think that the flaws at the top then have been allowed to trickle down to influence communities like hers adversely by the proposal to do this closure. They're very, I think, arrogant and flexible. Jeremy Brown, the local MP, did write to them saying, please would you look at rescheduling the local NatWest mobile to come to Wiveliscombe, and they wrote back and said no. I think the government needs to take a long, hard look at the performance of RBS and NatWest, and I believe quite strongly that Sir Philip Hampton, who's the chairman of RBS NatWest, needs to go soon to help that process. This is an important issue, and I think NatWest have got it wrong. Thank you.